Now let's take you through the grid for our second and final heat for DD2 Masters. After winning the opening heat earlier on today, Dennis Thum once again will start from pole position. Alongside him on the front row will be Bastien Carport in the number 510, who unfortunately got a 3-second time penalty for one or two wheels out of the tram lines on the start. They'll line up on the front row. Alex Fielenbach and Lukas Lippert on the 531 and the 526. Round out row 2 ahead of Michael Becker and Kai Honne on the 504 and the 517 respectively. Row 4, the 511 of Michael Heibert will be joined by the 502 of Klaus Parnet, with the 548 of Andre Dionek and Tanju Yildiz in the 570 rounding out the top 10. Completing the 14-strong grid, who will be battling over 10 minutes plus an additional lap, will be Martin Berger in the 555, the 515 of Sung Hung Moon, the 528 of Alexander Seibt, and the 585 of Andreas Cook, rounding out the grid. So 10 minutes set to go on the timer, plus an additional lap. It was a very, very close fought affair earlier on today, with Dennis Thum winning on the road ahead of Alex Fielenbach. Drivers will start weaving side to side on their formation lap, heading into the final couple of corners here at Kartbahn Ampfing. After this, we'll have 3 more races to go, and then we'll find out who will be our ranking after heats leaders. I can now confirm Noah Janssen has been confirmed as our pole sitter for tomorrow's Junior Rotax Superheat. But, well, can the run of form of a certain Mr. Dennis Thum continue? Red lights on the gantry, revs rise, lights are out, we're underway. And a good start by the pole sitter Thum, who gets an absolute launch. And Fielenbach looking up the inside of Carpel through into turn 1. Becker's trying to make it through to 4th, possibly, and he has got through so far. But Dennis Thum got a great start there off the line, and so did Alex Fielenbach. And at the moment here, Sebastian, it's a Kraft Motorsport 1-2.
Doppelführung also für Kraft Motorsport, für das Team rund um Kilian Kraft. Gleichzeitig sind sie dieses Mal alle durch die ersten Kurven hindurchgekommen, ohne große Probleme. Das hatten wir ja auch schon anders gesehen heute im ersten Vorlauf. Jetzt also sieht das Ganze etwas anders aus, deswegen auch Michael Becker an der 4. Position rangierend. Und mal sehen, wie Bastien Carpot diese Situation jetzt wahrnimmt, in der 3. Position. Er ja mit einer Zeitstrafe im ersten Vorlauf belegt worden. Muss also auch ein bisschen Schadensbegrenzung betreiben. So möchte er gerne noch ganz vorne mit angreifen. Für ihn geht es ja auch darum, so ein bisschen Dennis Thum und Alex Fielenbach unter Druck zu setzen, und natürlich auch Michael Becker, um seine möglichen Chancen, was die Meisterschaft angeht, möglichst hoch zu halten.
One of the things about Michael Becker, there's been another running joke between me and him. I say to him, you're always the bridesmaid, you're never the bride. You're always second or third, you're never on the top step. But that just goes to show that he's always got a smile on his face. You always have to watch out for the ones that are very, very quiet or very softly spoken. Michael Becker is one of those kind of individuals. But now, obviously, there's been no tangle between him and Klaus Parnet like we saw on lap 1, heat 1 earlier on today. So he's got De Rota underneath him, and it seems to be working well at the moment, because he's not he's nearly as quick as Bastien Carpot in 3rd place. So if he can push the tempo a little bit higher, he might be able to get onto the back foot. However, well, that's the 585. Andreas Cook, who started last, was up to 11th before that 180. And there's a little bit of fighting a little bit further back. I think Klaus Parnet might, well, it was a Maranello chassis, and there are a couple of them. It could be Alexander Seibt, possibly. And with that spin, Andreas Cook has tumbled to the back end of the field, but with just under 7.5 minutes to go, Dennis Thum seems to be a lot more composed, because he's already got the 2 pressure cooker situations off his back. He's won heat 1 of DD2 Masters. He's won his opening heat for seniors. So this could put him in a really good frame of mind for what will be his 4th race, folks, So 2 qualifying sessions. And we've got a 1 or 2 wheel. We've got a 3-second time penalty. And thank goodness it's not going to Krapot. It's going to the 511. Michael Heibert, who's just been passed by Klaus Parnett in the 502. And that is the change for 7th.
Wir sehen vorne, wie sich Dennis Thum immer weiter absetzen kann. Hat da jetzt mittlerweile einen ordentlichen Vorsprung herausfahren können auf Alex Fielenbach und Bastian Krapot. Michael Becker, der näher an Krapot dran ist als nach hinten Richtung Lukas Lippert an Vorsprung hat. Ja, mal sehen, wie die Möglichkeit besteht für Michael Becker, da nochmal anzugreifen. Du hast schon angesprochen, er ist einer der konstantesten Fahrer, wenn es darum geht, vorne möglichst viele Punkte zu holen. Aber für ganz vorne, für Platz 1, reicht es dann meist nicht. Das spiegelt sich auch so ein bisschen in der Meisterschaftswertung wieder. Er hat zwar einen Laufsieg, und zwar direkt zu Beginn in Wackersdorf aufgrund dieser Qualifying-Heat-Situation. Wir erinnern uns daran, an diese Vorläufe an dem Samstag in Wackersdorf, wo es anfing zu regnen, dann wieder nicht, dann fing es wieder an zu regnen, dann wieder nicht. Dieses Theater, was wir da erlebt haben, führte eben dazu, dass Michael Becker am Ende der siegreiche Pilot war nach den Qualifying Heats. Gleichzeitig, glaube ich, hat er da aber auch kein Rennen gewonnen. Und sonst waren das nur 3. und 4. Plätze dieses Jahr, die er eingefahren hat. Nichtsdestotrotz, er ist Tabellenzweiter, wieder ganz vorne mit dabei.
And at the moment, he's currently P4 at the minute. 8/10 of a second behind Bastian Krapot. But at the moment, well, Alex Fielenbach is just starting to push a little bit harder to close the gap to Dennis Thum. But then when you think about it, it would come down to qualifying pace if it was a dead heat. So effectively, if Fielenbach closes in on Thum, passes him, gets the win, well, Fielenbach qualified 3rd. Thum would get pole position for the superheats based on the fact he got pole position. So that's how quickly things can change. But obviously, if Dennis Thum, let's say, and I don't wish this upon anybody, if there is a technical failure that happens and Dennis Thum is out of the race, well, that puts Fielenbach on pole for the superheat tomorrow. So there are so many different factors that you have to consider. As I said, the performance of the driver, then also, judging by some of the curves, especially coming out of turn 1, which are very high, you've got to have mechanical sympathy with the machinery underneath you. So if Dennis has got the same mechanic working on 2 different karts, he has to be very, very careful how he drives it, because there's always that good relationship between mechanic and driver. And if that relationship goes south a little bit, it can happen.
Alex Fielenbach saugt sich immer näher heran an den Spitzenreiter Dennis Thum, der jetzt dann doch mal ein bisschen Druck erhält. Da ist noch ein bisschen was möglich. Vielleicht auch für Bastian Krapot. Wenn wir uns da noch mal ansehen, Bastian Krapot kam aus der 2. Position, hat da einen Platz also verloren gegen Alex Fielenbach, gleich in der Startphase. Das war Kurve Nummer 1 und jetzt sind die beiden Kraftmotorsportpiloten auf 1 und 2 gewillt, das untereinander auszumachen, aber da sollten sie die Rechnung nicht ohne Bastian Krapot machen.
Well, I mean, if Bastian gets his elbows out and then ends up going through, I mean, who's not to say if Fielenbach passes Thum and then Krapov manages to get through and get the race win and Thum ends up 3rd, that puts Fielenbach on pole position in terms of the race results. Okay, yes, at first you'd play it where it would be 104 points to Fielenbach in terms of the ranking after heats. Dennis Thum, well, Dennis would actually still be, he would be ahead by 1 point. So it's 52 for a 2nd place. So Alex Fielenbach at the moment, oh, actually it would be 107. Well, I'm looking at the maths now here. God, what a time for me to do that. You look at it with 2 minutes to go. If Krapov throws a surprise up the inside of, let's say, Dennis Thum, who's been passed by Alex Fielenbach, as a hypothetical situation. Thum's already had a win, so that's effectively his points ready to rock and roll. If he finishes third, that puts him behind Fielenbach.
Yep.
And then Fielenbach effectively takes the full 55 points by being the ranking after heats leader.
Yep.
So it's just about micromanaging, and that's also, oh, dearie me, Tanju Yildiz has just mounted the back of Martin Berger.
Abschleppen mal auf eine andere Art und Weise.
Well, besonders wenn der Martin Berger der Schleppwagen ist. But yeah, again, Tanju Yildiz goes, I don't know what happened. Well, he did really well in the first heat, and again, es gibt schon wieder Hoch und Tiefen, besonders bei der Tanju Yildiz in dieser wichtigen Moment.
Ja, das hätte auch noch ein bisschen böser ausgehen können, muss man ja auch mal so sagen.
Ja.
Können wir von Glück sagen, dass beide Fahrer in dem Moment schadenfrei davongekommen sind. Gelbe Flagge auch wieder aufgelöst, heißt auch, wir sind in den letzten 3 Runden unterwegs für den Moment in der Klasse der Rotax DD2 Masterklasse. Dennis Thum vor Alex Fielenbach und Bastian Krapot. Für die Meisterschaft, glaube ich, wäre es sogar sehr spannend, wenn Dennis Thum hier die 55 Zähler mitnimmt und Alex Fielenbach halt eben nur 52 Punkte für Platz 2, weil dadurch natürlich Dennis Thum wieder näher heranrückt an die Spitze, an Alex Fielenbach. Also ich glaube, das könnte tatsächlich so ein Zweikampf zwischen den beiden werden in der Meisterschaft, der es richtig in sich hat im Jahr 2024 zwischen Alex Fielenbach und Dennis Thum.
So, timer has expired. Through the chicane for the penultimate time here on lap number 15. And this time around, well, Dennis Thum took pole position in time qualifying. He now has 1 lap to go to make sure that he solidifies his place as the ranking after heats leader. He has not put a foot wrong all day long. He's had to defend and put the blockers on, so to speak, but in a fair and firm way. When you've got that first place, you have track position, and that is clearly proof in the pudding with the 5:33 from Kraft Motorsport. Dennis Thum makes his way through the chicane for the final time. It is going to be, again, a Kraft Motorsport 1-2 with Alex Fielenbach, unless Bastian Krapov has something to say about it. But out of the final corner, checker flag waves. Dennis Thum, congratulations. You provisionally booked yourself on pole position for the DD2 Masters Superheat. Is he going to do it again in seniors? Well, we're going to find out in about 2 races' time when he lines up on pole position alongside the young charger Hannes Überfeld. But Thum takes the win and puts himself on pole position for DD2 Masters Superheat tomorrow.
Gratulation, Dennis Thum, der damit natürlich auch wichtige Punkte in der Meisterschaft mitnimmt. Alex Fielenbach auf 2, dann Bastian Krapot, Michael Becker und Kai Honey. Lukas Lippert, Michael Reibert, Klaus Panet, André Gionek und Alexander Seibt am Ende auf den ersten 10 Positionen.
So Dennis Thum takes the win by 0.73 of a second ahead of Alex Fielenbach. So Kilian Kraft and the team at Kraft Motorsport will be very happy after that one, with Bastian Krapov holding the flag high for Karchmy, very, very high indeed. Running out the top 3, Michael Becker in 4th, head of Kai Honey, Lukas Lippert, Michael Reibert, Klaus Panet, André Zionek and Alexander Seibt. Rounding out the top 10, Zionek, the highest of the club sport karts in that race. And they finished ahead of Andreas Cook, Sung Hung Moon, Tanju Yildiz. And unfortunately, after Tanju Yildiz mounted the back end of Martin Berger in the 555, the latter would unfortunately retire on lap 10, but Dennis Thum books his place on pole position. for the Superheats alongside teammate Alex Fielenbach, and we'll be joining Sebastian Bauer very shortly in the interview zone downstairs for more chats post-race with some of our DD2 Masters competitors.